It is Friday, August 14th, 2026. Welcome back to another edition of Baseball Today, brought to you by T-Mobile. I'm Trevor Plouffe. There's no Chris Rose here today at all. He's with his son Brady and his beautiful bride Michelle. I think they're moving him back into his apartment at school. Producer Dan along for the ride as well. We're going to do something a little bit different for this episode. Me solo. Ask me anything. I know Chris Rose did this last week, so I thought it'd be fun if I did it as well. We submitted a prompt. You guys put out a ton of questions, a little bit of life, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of baseball. And to be honest, I wanted this to kind of go this way where uh, Dan is going to be reading me these questions unprompted. I haven't really even taken a look yet. So there's no research going on here. This is going to be off of the dome. And I think that's the best way to do episodes like this. I don't want to come in here with, structure and all this. Let's just let it fly, have a good time together. And yeah, have a great episode. So I guess without further ado, Dan, let's start it off.
All right, first up is take us through a road trip with an MLB club from a TV commentator's perspective. Do you fly with the team, same hotel? Do you hang with the guys?
This is an interesting question. So essentially you're traveling, or at least the way the Twins do it, you're basically doing what the players do. We share the same plane. I do travel on the team plane, stay in the same hotel, kind of have the same schedules. To the field, we'll have a couple different buses. Usually the players get on the earlier buses. I'll take the last bus to the field. And that's kind of, one of the reasons I like doing the broadcasting is it does scratch that itch of like, you talk to guys who get done and they're like, you know what I miss the most? Being around the clubhouse, being around the guys, like that whole team aspect of it. Although I'm not part of the team, I still kind of am around the game enough where I really feel like that part is kind of taken care of for me. As far as going to dinner and hanging, I think that does depend on who you are. I do still hang with some of the guys on the team. Last year I would go and get breakfast with Kyle Farmer on the team. This year I've done that with Joe Ryan. We've done some dinners together. Not everyone's doing that. I'll tell you that right now. I do have a good relationship with the guys in the clubhouse, and a lot of times they want to pick my brain about certain things in the media, or they want to pick my brain about life in general, and that makes me really happy that they want to do that because it makes me feel like I'm still part of something with the Twins. So it's fun. I've had a great time doing it. I don't always love the travel because I'm away from my family, but it's the way we travel makes it about as easy as it gets. So yeah, kind of the not a lot has changed as far as player to traveling with the team as a commentator. It's just that I'm not playing cards on the team plane anymore. I'm not one of the team members. I have to remember that sometimes, but I still get my fix in that regard.
Hey, Trev, I was wondering your take on why teams like this year's Rays or the Brewers usually fail in the playoffs.
I usually fail. What does that mean? I think that's kind of something I want to address here. Only one team wins the World Series, and a lot of it has to do with luck. Think about the Dodgers, man. Last year, how lucky they are. Miguel Rojas hitting that homer. I don't want to call that luck because Miggy's a hell of a player, but the chances of that happening were crazy. Um, Brewers and Rays, if you want to categorize them as a team, you can kind of lump these two teams together because they truly are built for 162. They're not like a slumping type of team. Run prevention teams can keep you in close games. Go check out the Rays record when they scored 4 or less runs this year, so they can prevent runs. We saw the Brewers do that last year against the Dodgers. It's largely like 3-run homers can win or make or break a playoff series. You're paring the pitching down. It gets really good. So everyone's run preventing in the playoffs to the best of their ability. And what I mean by that is you're only throwing like your guys. You just don't really get to your fourth or fifth reliever in the bullpen. Like you're sticking to the guys that are hot. So it becomes difficult to score runs. And when you get a couple guys on, that 3-run homer can really help. I think that's what I would say. Now, these teams do have guys that can hit homers, but I think some of the other teams like the Dodgers and maybe some of the other teams that slug, that's how they'll go further in these playoffs, is because they will hit homers. They have more guys that can hit homers. But I don't know, man. I'm looking at the Brewers. I'm wearing the yellow shirt right now. I'm looking at the Brewers this year, and it's just um, I like them a lot in the playoffs this year. And I know that we're not really talking about what's going on in the series this episode, but they came back and beat the Dodgers, come from behind victory last night.
After playing in MLB, what's one thing about professional baseball that you understand completely differently now than you did when you were a player?
This is another good question. I think I'll go off the field here. And I knew this as a player, but I really realize it now, that I'm kind of have a little bit of a zoomed out lens. The impact that you can make on someone's life by just being like nice to them. And I think that transcends and leaves the sports world as well. Like kindness goes a long way in this world. I think that gets away from us. Um, as a baseball player, I tell the guys all the time now, like, dude, go sign this autograph. You don't want to get out of your routine, but I'm telling you, you can make someone's life by just going out there and being nice to them and kind of like making their day. Say hi to the kids, say hi to the grandparents, all these things. That's something I probably would have done more of if I can go back in time. I've seen that now, just like the impact it has. Because I have way more time now when I'm at the ballpark. So I'll go talk to people and kind of hang and do all the things because I'm not getting ready for a Major League Baseball game necessarily. But I think that's one thing I would do completely different. But on again, like outside of um baseball world, like just put yourself in somebody else's shoes and kind of see things from their perspective. And I think that entices a level of kindness that you probably haven't gotten to before. That's something that I'm really trying to focus on in my life right now, being kind and realizing where people are coming from, even if I don't agree with them, because you ain't gonna agree with everybody. Um, but it's okay. Like differing opinions is cool. Let's just talk about it and be kind to each other. I think that's like a massive part of the world that like gets like overlooked for some reason. But yeah, that's what I would view differently.
Trev, take this as your opportunity or excuse to preach to us about parenting advice, maybe a check in on the role of masculinity, fatherhood, and brotherhood in the big 2026. Peace and love.
Okay. Okay. No preaching going on here whatsoever. This is such a broad topic. I don't even know where to start. Um, love being a parent. I love being a husband. I think that's something I'm pretty passionate about as far as uh, what men need to be in this world. I think you got to be kind of, I don't want to say the rock, but you got to set a good example, like a tone. I feel like I need to set the tone for my kids, my family, and that's just like the most important thing for me. I love my wife; she's incredible. She sets the tone as well. I think obviously it's y- y- a both parent situation there, um, and I think that's also important. Like I respect her so much. That's why our relationship has been so good, Olivia and I. Is I respect her, and that respect is reciprocated. I think the parenting advice is, you got to pick your spots. Where you got to let kids be kids. I was just talking about this the other night. My son has one of those e-bikes and ended up getting it impounded. He was riding up in these trails behind our house where he wasn't supposed to be, and got stopped by like the rangers, and they took him and his friends' bikes. And part of me as a parent's like, oh, I want to be mad at this guy, and I want him to know right from wrong. And I had given him, I had said, yeah, hey, you can go up into this area if you just be careful about it. And he ends up getting in trouble. I got to go to the DMV and do all these things to get his bike back from him. But then I realized, like, I was doing the same thing when I was little. Like, I was riding my bikes, I was building dirt jumps in places I wasn't supposed to be, as long as he's being safe and not harming anyone, which they weren't. They were just, it was just fun for them. But you have to, give grace to your kids, then also learn when to be firm with them um, and kind of lay down the law every once in a while. That's my parenting advice. Pick your battles, find your spots. Grace is a good thing, but also firmness is there as well. Because I tell my son this all the time. I want to be your best friend, but unfortunately, I'm your dad. So sometimes I got to be a parent to you and teach you right from wrong. I guess that's my biggest advice as a father.
Trev, when was baseball the most fun during your career, and when was it the least fun?
Okay. I mean, career, so I'll go professional. That's honestly like the most fun I've ever had playing baseball is probably like high school with your boys. You grew up with these guys and like you're all just kind of having a great time. It's, a wonderful time in someone's life when they're kind of like getting a little bit of freedom, all that stuff. Team USA also great time. Big league career though. 2012 I established myself as a big leaguer and I felt like, hey, I'm beyond the minor leagues. I'm never going back. I belong in this league and that's everyone has to have one of those moments and it just completely changes you as a person. Like I'm like, man, I accomplished this goal that I had for so long. And then, you get to the big leagues and that's accomplishment one, but staying in the big leagues, you always hear it, that's the hardest thing to do. Um, Truly feeling like you belong in the big leagues, like I am a big leaguer. I didn't have that until like my third year or like part of my third season, 2012. I established myself, hit a bunch of homers. That was the most fun I had during my career because I was just kind of a part player and, very easily could have went the other way and been out of baseball and just kind of had my cup of coffee, did it, and then that's it. And then I kind of went on a roll there with some homers, became a starting third baseman, and I had like never been. I was so proud of myself. Like I felt like um, it really it changed the way thought internally. So that was a big one for me. When was it the least fun? Um, Minor leagues, I struggled a lot, questioned my abilities a lot, cried in my hotel room a lot, because I wanted it so bad, but I just wasn't performing. So I remember specifically a night where, Paul Molitor was talking to me and I was venting to him. Bill Springman was our minor league coordinator, venting to him, just felt like I wanted to give up, man. Um, so that was tough. End of my career when you're kind of bouncing between organizations and just not like doing well, like playing poorly, and then realizing like this team doesn't care about me. I have no sweat equity built up. How am I going to like reestablish myself? I really never did at the end of my career. That's probably when it was the least fun.
Trev, what's a rule that you wish would come back, and what's one you'd get rid of?
Okay, and this is another. Again, this is all unprompted off the top of my head here. So let's think about this one a little. Let's talk through it together. What's one rule that you wish would come back? Now, rules we've taken away or things we've taken away. Pitchers hitting, I don't want that to come back. I think I have one, and I've said this on the show before. I hate the four fingers, and you just get to walk somebody. I want the you got to throw it 4 balls, to walk somebody again because it's embarrassing. We shouldn't be able to walk somebody on purpose with 4 fingers. Like, I want the pitcher embarrassed that they can't get this guy out or their coach doesn't believe in them enough to get this guy out, that you gotta throw those pitches. You gotta get in your windup, and you gotta look all silly, throwing the ball all easy to your catcher who's got his hand out to the side. Like, I want that rule back, and maybe I'm just mean to pitchers, and that's fine, but I think I'd want that rule back. What's one I'd get rid of? This is also a good question. Interesting, interesting. I think it's the Manfred runner, directly in the 10th inning. I'd wanna play a few more innings of real baseball, before I got to that. Um, I know it's done its job, it's worked. A lot of these rules lately the Manfreds put in have worked, and they've done their job, and it's been well thought out. And these games, there's not a lot of games that go past the 10th or the 11th anymore. They get done quick. And that's the point of these rules. You don't want to have, ruin your pitching staff and have to go up and down and have the carousel of pitchers from AAA to the big league. So it makes sense. But I think I'd want to go back to 1 or 2 innings of regular baseball before he brought in, the Manfred rule. This episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Covering baseball every day means it's go time. MLB playoffs are around the corner, and the NFL is almost here with the NBA not too far behind. It's crazy to think about that. If you want to actually be there for any of it, you need SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Over 70,000 events across sports, concerts, and festivals. MLB's official ticket marketplace. Every baseball ticket is fully guaranteed and instantly fulfilled. Green dot means good deal. Red means keep looking. So easy, even Jake can do it. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code, excuse me, baseball 2026 for 10% off your next set of MLB tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any MLB tickets with promo code baseball 2026. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek.
Trev, how much does being moved around on defense, especially when switching to a new team, affect your performance at the plate? And what was the hardest position swap you had to adjust to in your career?
So I don't think it does affect like moving around defense should not affect your offense at all. Now, the only reason I'd say it does is because your confidence level is so important as a hitter that when you're moving around on defense and maybe you're not performing as well defensively because you're not getting enough reps there, which we see a lot in today's game, specifically my Twins. We move a lot of guys around, and there are a couple guys that can really handle it, but it's not an easy thing to do. So, like, talked about giving grace earlier on in this program. Give grace to your guys on your team that are moving around defensive positions because it's difficult when you don't have those reps in. So you're going to look foolish sometimes. You're going to get caught out of position sometimes. So that's the one thing that'll affect you offensively is just like your overall confidence. Like, dang man, like I zooed that ball, or I wasn't where I was supposed to be. Maybe there's a mental error because I just don't have the muscle memory at these positions. So I think that'll affect it. It shouldn't though. Like you should be able to separate your at bats as a big leaguer. Separate your offense from your defense. A bat from a bat. That's what the best players do. As far as the hardest position swap you had to adjust to in my career, I mean, I tried outfield for a little bit going into that 2012 season, and that was really difficult for me. I'd never played outfield like growing up at all. I was a shortstop, man, shortstop pitcher. That's it. Moving around in the infield, a little bit easier, still ground balls. You still kind of know all the assignments, all that stuff. First base can get a little wacky because there's a lot of different assignments as far as like bunts and relays and stuff like that. But having to play a legitimate big league outfield, like moving from the infield to the outfield, was really tough for me. Some guys do it and never look back. Think about Alex Gordon, turned into a superstar out there in left field for the Royals after being a third baseman. So some guys can do it. I had a really tough time with it. If I would have stuck with it, would I have gotten better? Sure. But you need a lot of reps to kind of look polished out there, and I just didn't have them.
What do you think about putting marks in the outfield that fielders have to start with 1 foot on as a means to eliminate the outfield shift? I can see a lot of people being opposed to it because it would change the appearance of the outfield, but outfield shifts are hurting the sport.
Love it. We've talked about this before. The reason we got rid of the infield shift is one of the reasons they talked about, I'm talking about like Manfred and everybody, was we wanted to see defense. We wanted to see athleticism take over. And there's nobody more athletic than these guys playing in the outfield, running down baseballs. There's no more athletic play than a center fielder going into the gap and having to dive for a ball. So I'm all about it. I don't care what the field looks like. It doesn't have to be some crazy like mark that's like a complete different color from the grass. It could just be a little patch that's a little darker colored or something like that. A lot of times you'll see in the minor leagues, teams will mark in their infield. They'll just put like a little white stake in the ground. You kind of just sits flush with the grass, and they mark there and have guys set up in different positions there. So you could do that as well. But I think even just a little different colored grass, if it's a piece of turf that they can keep colored one way the entire year, I am in. I think anybody that's opposed to an outfield shift ban is crazy. I think we should have it. It just makes we already have it in the infield. Why isn't it universal throughout the field? I think it would make for fun plays. The only people that should be opposed to this are pitchers. But as you know, it's my program today. Coach Trev asked me anything. I don't care about pitchers. I think it'd be better for the game if we started guys at least in a certain part of their designated field and watch them go get it. I'm all about it. So I agree here with this question.
What ballpark has the worst visiting clubhouse?
Ooh, all right. Okay. Shoot. Like Wrigley Field used to have it. I haven't been in the visiting clubhouse in a while there. I my first time playing, I was with the Rays, little interleague series, and I couldn't believe this. It's old field, so I guess I should have been able to believe it, but it's small. It was outdated. I think they've changed it and fixed some things there. Boston used to be really, really tiny. They have addressed it and added on. Still very, very small clubhouse. There's really no bad ones though. I hate saying what's the worst visiting clubhouse. In my mind, I can't really think of one because they're all pretty damn good. Even the ones that don't have the amenities like some others do. Like take for instance, like Tampa, like down there. They do a great job in the visiting clubhouse making you feel good about playing there. So like there's that. You know what? I'll give the Coliseum, which is not a stadium anymore in the big leagues. The Coliseum out there in Oakland, it was tough. It was tough, man. Like it was dingy, gross, felt moldy. Clubhouse guy Mike out there did the best he could. Didn't have a kitchen. Didn't have a kitchen. Just had a room, and so he would do his best there. And actually, the spreads were decent. But I'll give that one. The old like the Wrigleys and the Fenways are tough because they're tiny. But there's at least they're historic and really cool. I guess the Coliseum is historic as well in its own right. Maybe not as much as those others, but I would say, yeah, old Oakland Coliseum visiting clubhouse was tough.
Real quick, can I ask which one was the best?
Best visiting clubhouse. It just depends what you want. Like I thought the best food in a visiting clubhouse was New York, the Yankees. They crushed it. Oh gosh, Detroit's old clubhouse, visiting clubhouse was tough too. Best I would go Yankees is really, really good. And then it just depends on kind of like the guys working there. Most of them are so fun and so good. I love Phil out there in Milwaukee. I was just there, so shout out Phil, the visiting clubhouse guy in Milwaukee. But yeah, Yankees is really good. Yankees is really good.
Trevor, do you think the on deck circle is an unnecessary hazard in baseball? Eugenio Suarez was almost pierced by the Rays this year. Jack Leiter rolled his ankle on one. Catchers trip on them all the time.
Hate it. Hate on deck circles. Don't know why we do it. The only argument for on deck circles is telling a guy where to slide when he's coming into home. Like you need to be able to get behind the plate. That's the only argument that you can have for having the on deck circle on the field. There's no other argument. You don't get anything from being closer to the pitcher when you're timing him up. Another 15 feet behind a net would be the exact same thing. So I'm out on that argument. The fact that we have like these mats and we just put a bunch of pine tar and rosin and weighted bats on them is so stupid. Like you should just, if we still have the on field on deck circles, you should just get all your stuff you need in the dugout. Spray your pine tar or wipe your pine tar on the bat or grab the weighted bat or grab the donut, whatever it is, bring it out and then give it to the bat boy when you're done. Like the fact that we have stuff on the field where catchers, it's in play. Catchers, yeah, they can trip on it. Infielders, whoever it is insane to me. Plus, yeah, it's dangerous. Opposite handed batters up there, and you're got to watch out, man. It's dangerous. I think it's stupid. It's something that we're gonna have to figure out. We should figure it out because it doesn't make any sense. Again, the only reason you can make the case for having an on deck circle on the field to play is to get back and tell a guy, slide this way, slide that way, stand up, which, I don't know. Maybe the coach can run out from the dugout and do that. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's something that we should definitely at least get rid of all the crap that's just like left on the field. That shouldn't be a thing anymore.
Do guys just get used to their hands stinging when hitting with a wooden bat, or do they just not show it?
I love this question because it's really funny to see guys when they first start swinging a wood bat, like, you just don't know how to swing it. My youth team goes through that when they all want to swing wood because they think it's cool. And then I get them in there and I'm like, all right, you can hit off the tee with it. when I start throwing to you, you're not ready for it yet. I liken a wood bat, if you're a golfer, to like blades, or like something like a blade, which is a very, unforgiving golf club where you really have to hit it on the sweet spot for it to go the right way. Same thing. Your hands don't sting anymore when you're a pro and you're using a wood bat. They never do, because you're hitting the ball where you're supposed to hit it. It's not on the label. It's not on the ends of the bat. And sometimes that does still happen, obviously. And does it sometimes hurt your hands? Yes. But the majority of the time, you're not getting blown up. I mean, again, it still happens. You take one off the label, yeah, your hands hurt. You still see guys go like this, hit one off the end of the bat. That's when you're probably going to crack more bats, is off the end of the bat. Uh, the middle part of the bat is usually a little bit more secure. Hurts probably more, but the end of the bat is where you kind of want to stay off of. Um, but you just learn how to hit it on the sweet spot more often than not. So yeah, that like initial like, wow, my hands are stinging, I'm feeling all the vibrations, kind of goes away. And now guys use the grip on the bat. That was like not a thing for me coming up. The actual aluminum bat kind of grips, like the padded grips, were not a thing. It was like, use athletic tape if you taped your bat at all. I never taped my bats. But now most guys have like what they'll call like lizard skins. That's a company that does it. Um, they'll wrap that. That also helps with the impact of the bat. But again, I think it's just like you're a pro and you hit the ball on the barrel more often than like a guy that just picking up a wood bat for the first time. So again, still hurts every once in a while, but you're more precise with your ball striking.
I coach a little league team, 8 to 10-year-olds. What are your thoughts on teaching mechanics explicitly at that age? Should we just be trying to get them athletic and feeling good and making contact, or is it better to have them thinking about a gather slash load and hinging at the hip and coiling or whatever mechanical thought you want them to have? Also, ask for maybe some good drills.
Okay, 8 to 10-year-olds. I think it's still about making them love the game. So how do you make them love the game? Have them hit on the barrel as much as possible. So kind of whatever's natural for them, let them do. Um, obviously, if there's something way out of whack mechanically, you can fix it. I still preach to kids like less movement is better. Like get rid of all your excess movement. More direct to the ball, especially at that age. That's kind of um my cues for them, is like, how direct can we be to this baseball? And then it's about timing a lot, because you're facing kid pitch, and it depends on what year you're at. Like some of these 10-year-olds are huge for their age and they throw hard. So it becomes a timing thing. But as a coach, I think you got to just make these kids want to keep playing baseball. So let them kind of do their thing as long as they're getting the barrel to the ball. If they need help, there are some mechanical things you can do, but keep it real simple for them. It doesn't need to be, gathering, load, hinging, all that stuff. That comes later on. Maybe, right after this, 11, 12, when they're getting a little more physical and they can kind of make these moves. Like, honestly, some of these moves that we're doing, the gather, the load, these are pro moves, and these kids' bodies aren't ready to handle it yet. They're just not. So it's really about, again, just like timing is everything for these kids. These bats do all the work at this age. So you don't need to have a huge coil. You don't need to be worrying about getting, this beautiful swing, maximizing exit, because the bat's going to do it for you. Do I love these bats? No. Do I think it's putting our kids at a disadvantage going on later into life? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think we should have all small barrels. I hate big barrels. Um, but yeah, I think at this age, it's just about letting them have fun, making good contact, encouraging them as much as possible. And then when you want to get into some more advanced mechanics, I would say, yeah, 11 to 12, you can start just some real kind of basic stuff there. And then high school, you get a little bit bigger. Then you can really start talking about, okay, how do I get the most out of my body? But, some of these kids are so small. What are you going to do? The bat swings them still. Let them have fun. Timing, less movement is better for a lot of these kids. This one's brought to you by Bonobos. Bonobos actually sent some stuff over to me, and I really wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I tried it on in front of Olivia, and that's all that matters. Does my wife like it or not? and she loved it. She thought I looked great in it. I put a pair of their pants on first, and she loved it. And I kind of just don't want to go back to anything else. They're very, very comfortable, and that's the Bonobos thing. They built their whole reputation on solving the fit problem. Men's clothes were always too boxy or too tight, and they fixed it. Then took that approach to the shirts, the shorts, the polos, the linen, which I really like, the whole wardrobe. Casual and polished at the same time. It's a great way to describe the stuff that I got. You can wear them out to the ballpark and then a dinner after without changing once. So put on Bonobos, feel good, and get on with your day. Right now, head to bonobos.com today and use code today for 25% off your order. That's really good, people. Once again, that's bonobos.com/today for 25% off. And make sure you use my promo code today so they know we sent you.
You talked a lot about teams not bunting. Can you talk us through a big leaguer's perspective on squeeze plays? Why don't we see them more in late innings with a runner on third and less than 2 down? I'm also curious why big league clubs always run the safety squeeze and never the suicide squeeze. Why don't teams practice this? It's a free run in the playoffs if you get into that spot. What am I missing here?
I love bunting. I think we're seeing quite a bit more bunting this year around the league. A lot of it's first and third stuff. All of it's going to be safety squeeze, just because the suicide squeeze, and what he means by that is you just take off from third base no matter what. You don't really need to do that. You can get a good secondary, see it down, and it's still so difficult to make that play. I think that's the way you run it. Yeah, I don't know if we'll see too many suicide squeeze ever again in this game. I don't know if we've ever seen. I don't think we've seen one this year. And maybe challenge me in the comments if you've seen your team run a straight up sprint from third base, get the bunt down any way you can. I haven't seen one personally, but let me know if you have. I think it is hard to bunt if you haven't practiced it. If you haven't come up in baseball bunting, which it's getting away from a lot of people now. It's not really a fundamental part of your upbringing in baseball, although it kind of is, because if you ever watched a high school game, they bunt a lot. College, they still bunt a lot, and then it just kind of gets lost in pro ball. And it is difficult if you haven't practiced it and you're going up there trying to bunt these guys throwing 95 plus. It's not easy. I just said on the broadcast we were playing the Brewers, and we missed some bunts, and they got their bunts down. They were asking me, like, how often do big leaguers practice bunting? And the truth is they never do. Like real practice, you might throw a few bunts down at the beginning of your BP round, boom, boom, boom. But like setting up the machine and doing some velo bunting, they just don't really do it. So I think that's why you don't see it as much. But I do think when other teams are zigging, you got to zag. And I think that we've seen the Brewers do it a ton. We've seen the Rays do it a ton. And guess who have the 2 best records in baseball? Those 2 teams.
Also, a question. Do you think it's harder to bunt now than ever against today's pitching?
I do think it's harder to bunt now today than ever because of the velo, guys understanding, where to throw it. But if you get the bunt down, it's probably easier than ever to get on because guys cannot field their position, and fielding bunts has become a lost art as well because they just don't see as many reps.
Hey, Coach Trev, can you tell me how much hitters think about hitting when they're in a slump? Only having 4 at-bats a day to change it is so much pressure, and I feel like it would consume me.
You think about hitting way more when you're in a slump than when things are going well. When things are going well, it's like I'm going to show up. I'm going to put my routine in it. It's working. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to go play the game and be free. When you're in a slump, it consumes you. The dark spot in your world just comes right into the forefront, and you just get into some dark places, and you think about hitting non-stop. What can I do to change this? What am I doing? Why is it happening this way? Why is my timing bad? Why am I spinning on this pitch? Why can't I stay through the ball? I can't create space right now. My hands aren't working. It just goes and goes and goes. So it's the most you'll ever think about hitting is when you're in a slump, and probably the most you'll ever spend in a cage when you're in a slump. That's why you'll see guys from time to time, hitting coaches will be like, get the heck out of my cage. Like, you don't need to be in it. Show and go today. Get out of your own head. I think sometimes that's the greatest thing you can do for a player is to say, get the hell out of here. Go sit in the clubhouse, go watch a movie, Go do anything to get your brain out of the way, because sometimes your brain can get in the way too much. So to answer your question, I mean, you just think about it nonstop when you're in a slump. And again, when you're cruising and hitting well, barely think about it at all. It's a mental game, and you know it too. That's the crazy thing about hitting is it's a mental game, and you know that um, what you need to do is kind of just get out of your own way and keep going because you're going to have slumps. You tell yourself that all the time. I know a lot of peaks and valleys in a baseball season over 162. You know that, but it's still you still can't get away from it. You start to really um what's the word I'm looking for here? You just start to overanalyze everything, and it becomes you start going like this. You start to snowball before you start going back up. The day is always darkest before the dawn. That's the saying? That's true in hitting as well.
Real quick, you ever do anything weird, like superstition wise, to get out of a slump?
Uh, yeah, I would do a lot of things. I'd bring my bats into chapel. I would clean them. I would treat my bats very, very well when I was in a slump. There's always the naked BP. There's always some sacrifices, maybe lighting like a candlelit vigil in the clubhouse. I've done that before for my bats. You go through some crazy lengths to get out of a slump, no doubt about it.
Favorite movie?
Did someone in Canada write this question? How are we spelling favorite right there? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna end the show. This is the last one we're gonna do, and like we like to do on Baseball Day, we'll end it on something a little light. Favorite movie. I got a couple weird ones that I don't really like to admit, but they're just such good movies that Seven with Brad Pitt. Um, Morgan Freeman's in that. Kevin Spacey's in that. That's a crazy movie. Everyone knows the famous line, "What's in the box?" That's a disturbing movie. But I remember it just kind of like having a grip on me after I saw it. I was like, "Holy crap, that was incredible." So there's that. But again, like, be careful if you haven't seen it before. It's a messed up movie. Fallen is a one that doesn't get a lot of acclaim that I, for some reason, am really into. That one's Denzel. John Goodman's in it. Um, it's about like a little. So I guess I'm like this. Like the Catholic Church comes up a lot. I was raised Catholic and I went to a Catholic school, so maybe that's what's going on there. Because the movie Fallen deals with some biblical stuff, some demons. So I guess I didn't ever really put those two and two together right there. It's probably why they stuck out to me. Other than that, everyone knows I love Lord of the Rings, all three of them. Two Towers is something I'll watch quite frequently, at least a couple times a year. I'll put that back on. Um, I'll watch me and my friends when we get together late night barbecues. We'll put Top Gun on, just kind of flip to our favorite scenes. The 215 scene with when Tom Cruise or AKA Maverick goes in and tells them, "Screw 4 minutes, I'm going to do it in 2 minutes and 15 seconds." Steals the aircraft, does it. Awesome. So I love that. Favorite overall movie. I just bounce back and forth so much. I think I'm gonna go Two Towers. I can recite almost every single line from that movie. It's given me Tolkien baseball, which if you watch Talking Baseball, I'll do awards from that every once in a while. I think it's a great movie about good versus evil, persistence, never giving up even when it seems like all hope is lost, and struggling with power choices. There's so much stuff going on. It's about life. I love it. So I'll go with Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics Markets, where fans trade on sports. It's simple. You just pick a game and choose an outcome like which team will win, which player will hit a home run, and more. It's time to get involved in the action. Then buy contracts based on what you think will happen. Yes, if you think it will. No, if you don't. You can buy as many as you want, sell if the price moves in your favor, or let them settle when the event ends. And Fanatics Markets just got even more rewarding with Fan Cash. Now you can earn up to 10% fan cash on your trades, win or lose. You can use it across the Fanatics ecosystem for things like trade credit, the authentic apparel, collectibles, tickets, and more. Fan Cash is Fanatics' currency of sport, connecting trading, merchandise, collectibles, and experiences all in one place. Trade, earn fan cash, and unlock more with Fanatics Markets. Event contracts carry a risk of total loss and changing prices. Not good for all investors. Not available in all states. Must be 21 or older. See important disclosures in Fanatics Markets app. Customers are introduced to Crypto.com by Paragon Global Markets LLC, DBA Fanatics Markets IB, an introducing broker registered with the CFTC and a member of the NFA. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Baseball Today. I really appreciate everyone who submitted questions. Chris Rose and I will be back on Monday for a regular episode. Go Twins. We're playing the Phillies. I think the Yanks got the Blue Jays, so go Blue Jays. Hopefully your favorite team wins this weekend. And if not, we'll be talking about it on Monday with Chris. So for producer Dan and myself, Trevor Plouffe, Coach Trev, we will see you Monday on Baseball Today.